Welcome back to 365 Unlimited. We are back with another episode here. It's not an interview tonight, something that we've been waiting all season long of the NFL to sit down, chop it up, NFL playoff time. We are going to give you guys a preview of everything that we foresee happening in the playoffs coming this weekend. So this episode will probably come out right before game time come Saturday when these teams take the field. We got 2 games on Saturday, 3 on Sunday, and 1 on Monday night. So it's going to be a very exciting time within the NFL. Bunch of teams going at it, trying to win a Super Bowl. So we're excited to dive into that. But before we do, continue to like, view, subscribe, check in on all of our videos. We appreciate all the continued support. 2023 has been good to us so far, and we're going to keep working for that. Also, check out our 3 sponsors: Driftless Quality Wear, Bocker Auto Group, and Not Vintage. That is KNOT Vintage. And you can also go to their website at notvintage.com. Every t-shirt, graphic tees are available. And I'm telling you right now, you do not want to miss out on the graphic tees that are being put together over there. We happen to have our own graphic tee as well, which you are able to buy on the website. And I'll tell you right now, the quality of the shirt is fantastic. It feels great when you're wearing it. Great material. It's not wearing a Gyland t-shirt. It's not like that. It's awesome. So check that out. Use the code 365U for 10% off store wide. So that is not just our t-shirt that is for sale. That is every single t-shirt on the website. You will get 10% off at the checkout. That is 365U. Do not hesitate to also reach out to him on social media at Not Vintage. I'm sure he'll be willing to answer any questions you have about shirts. All right, Gannon. That was a long intro, but we had to show love to Not Vintage. Let's rock with it. NFL.
Yeah, so first game we got the Seahawks traveling down the West Coast to San Fran, playing the 49ers. First game to kick off the wild card weekend. I think Gino, he's had a good year. Seahawks overall. Nobody really would have pictured them even getting in the playoffs in any capacity, kind of coming off all the offseason stuff with Russell and, all the kind of debacle that people thought it was going to be for the Seahawks, but it ended up being vice versa for the Broncos. But I just think the 49ers are too much. Purdy and Shanahan have just kind of, I think, each week stepped up the playbook because it's opening up. Each week they play, there's more reps. There's more reps for Purdy with the first team and all the stud guys that they have out there with their offense, which everybody knows about. Their juggernaut from 20 yards and in. You don't got to push the ball down the field at all. They can eat clock. They can win the game with their defense also, which is probably the best defense that's in the playoffs right now. I mean, they're one of my Super Bowl picks right now, just looking across the board here with teams. So I think this is going to be tough for Seattle to go down there. It is a division game, so it's football. It's crazy. The NFL, like this year, we could be completely wrong in almost all of our picks, and it wouldn't really shock me in some of these matchups. But I'm going San Fran on this one. I think it might be a couple scores.
I'm with you. I mean, when you look at this matchup, I think everything you've seen out of San Fran this season, dealing with 2 quarterback injuries, Lance going
Yes.
down early on, Garoppolo going down, and then Purdy stepping in and the offense not missing a beat, which is insane for it to be Mr. Irrelevant to be the guy who is leading the charge for this Niners offense. But Shanahan has an offense that fits these players. It fits what they're trying to accomplish. And they have so many moving parts, especially with the Christian McCaffrey trade, bringing him into this offense and not having and forcing him to be the lead back at all times, utilizing him in different scenarios, different situations in the passing game, screen game. Everything has gotten him way more involved, and he's not getting as much wear and tear as you would see in Carolina, where he's rushing the ball 32 times a
Yeah.
game.
Oh, yeah.
So what you said, I'm taking San Francisco, hands down, no doubt, multiple score game. I think it will be interesting at first. I think you're going to see
Yeah,
maybe
it could turn into a good game. You just how football
100%.
works. But
It is. I mean, it's playoff time. It's playoff time. So these teams, I mean, it's your season. It's on the line. It's what you work for all year. A guy like Geno Smith, he he, he doesn't want it to end this soon. I mean, he's had one hell of a season to come back and become a starter for Seattle. No one would have predicted this when the Russ trade went down to Denver. Like you said, Denver and Seattle kind of flip flopped, which is hilarious in my eyes. Uh,
nuts.
but but yeah, I mean, I just think Seattle, talking about San Francisco, I think Seattle has, I mean, they got young pieces. They got the pieces, but the issue is going to be, it's ultimately probably going to come down to the fact that they're just not on the level of San Fran. I think you can make the argument San Fran's the hottest team in the NFL right now.
It's
And
just got on both sides. That's the biggest
oh,
thing.
it's filthy. The team moves and operates as one well-oiled machine, and I think they're going to be hard to beat in the playoffs. I honestly don't understand how you're going to be able to slow them up. I don't.
Yeah.
Do you? Do you?
No, no, I don't. I mean, and I think they don't get enough credit. Shanahan and their Jonathan Lynch out there, the former NFL safety, that's their GM now and makes all the moves out there.
Yeah, John Lynch.
It's a yeah, John Lynch. Sorry, but let's transition to the next one. We got the Chargers going on the road to Jaguars after winning the AFC South for the Jags, which is another game. I think it could really turn into be an interesting game of the weekend. I think wild card weekend. This is my specific wild card game out of if that kind of makes sense out of the 6 matchups that it. In my assumption, if I'd have to trust my gut and everything, I'd say the Chargers are going to win, and it might not be close because I think the Chargers are healthy and they keep getting better through this season now that Mike Will and Keenan Allen and all these weapons are on the field together.
Mike Will's out.
Oh, yeah, I forgot. Excuse me about that. But still, I still think with Keenan Allen, I'd rather have Keenan Allen in there with
You got Joshua Palmer.
yeah, exactly.
You got other weapons. You got Gerald Everett.
But I'm just saying with why can't I think of his name right now? This is just not
Austin Eckler.
No, a quarterback.
Justin Herbert.
Yes, thank you. Sorry, I was having a brain fart. But Justin Herbert, I just think there's been a lot of talk about him. He gets a lot of talk in the storylines and the headlines and a lot of the news stuff with all the sports commentators that they think they got him figured out one way or the other. But he's got a lot to prove in this game. Obviously, Trevor Lawrence does too, but this is kind of the first time for the Jags, and this is kind of like new territory for him, which I think they're going to end up getting there and kind of getting back with that AFC South, which is kind of a crapshoot in my opinion, looking in the future. But I just think the Chargers are going to have a little chip on their shoulder. But again, good game, could turn into something. I still think the Chargers are going to go in here and win this.
I got to sit here and pause for a second because I honestly think this game is going to be one of the most intriguing games to watch.
Yeah, that's why I said it's a wild card. I could also see the Chargers scoring 30-plus points, and I don't think Trevor and those guys can keep up with that without Trevor throwing a couple picks.
Yeah, I think the Chargers have the offense that's well capable of doing that. I honestly, though, do think that the Mike Williams injury is going to hurt them immensely.
But they're used to people being out hurt. That's the only thing.
I mean, yeah, they've done it all.
You know what I'm saying? And they have the run game to rely on it, which is huge.
They do, but they've done that all year, and they've still struggled. I mean, yes, the injuries have been an issue. They finished the year out 10-7. So I mean,
which is still pretty good.
It's a playoff record. I mean, you're probably going to sneak into the playoffs with that record. But regardless, I mean, you're playing a Jacksonville team that has won some ball games the last few games. I mean, I'm not saying that it's a team
it's not good football though.
It's sloppy. Yeah. But honestly, I mean, the Mike Williams injury to me is tough. And I already, before the injury, I was looking at this game like I thought it'd be close because, honestly, I think at the end of the day, you just don't know what Chargers team is going to show up. They're well capable enough to beat the Jags probably by 2 scores right now still. I think they're capable to do that. But I'm going to take Jacksonville in this game. And I'm going to take Jacksonville for the sole purpose that I just think that this will be the year Jacksonville gets one playoff win and then they lose. I think this will be the year where they knock out the Chargers, and then the Chargers will come back hungry next year, and they'll be the same team we've seen them to be.
No Blake Bortles AFC Championship run in them, or
no, I'm not seeing that this year. But what I do see is I see a team that is hungry. I see a young team that has weapons. You got Zay Jones, you got Evan Ingram. Evan Ingram is a tight end in a receiver's body with the speed that he possesses. Trevor's got some speed. He's got Christian Kirk, a guy who came in and everyone said this guy is flat out.
They hand the ball and make ETN part of that offense consistently is enough because
he could be a part of the screen game too.
Yeah, but you got to give him the ball before we move forward. You just got to give him the ball because you can't let Trevor just sit back there. He's good enough to do it, but I don't trust him enough to do that, especially in his first career playoff start coming up. But
hold on, I want to add one more thing. I would say the one other thing I will agree with you on, in the sense that you're taking the Chargers, is because I do see the capabilities of Justin Herbert, Herbert being able to put up 30-plus points. And
he played in the playoffs already too, which I think is.
And I don't know if I can see it with Lawrence. I don't know if Lawrence can win a shootout.
It's harder to see. That's my point. Yeah,
it is. But I'm gonna rock with the Jags.
All right. Let's go to Sunday. First game, Dolphins. A little in-division game here, going north to play the Buffalo Bills. So it's kind of self-explanatory, especially with Tua ruled out. What's Teddy's final? Is there a chance,
I
or are they still riding with Thompson? Because last
I
week,
think it'll be Thompson.
because Teddy was cleared last week on the sidelines, he kind of wasn't really doing a whole lot or talking much. I'd still like to see Teddy play, but they still have had a good year. This is still, I think, a nod to the Dolphins, even though game is not going to really be close. I think I'm going to talk
No.
about more of the Dolphins year. It's just really tough with all the stuff that has happened with Tua and the injuries. And if you
Yeah.
try and rush him back, you're just not feasible because he's running the risk of a third, fourth, because you don't know how earlier stuff with concussions. You can't do that in a year. That's definitely going to ruin his career if that was to happen. So it wasn't going to. But the Dolphins still have a good year. They're good weapons, but it's just not going to happen. I know Buffalo's been up and down. I've been hard on Buffalo because they were kind of my preseason pick out of the AFC. I think when we talked about this, I think we did a episode about it a while back, but I just don't see this being more than might be a 3-score game. It is just, they're not going to be able to. The Bills can take a half off and still win this game. Is pretty much my point in this.
I agree, and I'm taking Buffalo.
Which they do.
Hands down.
They've taken some halves off this year, Buffalo, and looked
No,
bad.
and that's why I will say with my prediction, I'm taking Buffalo, but I'm not going to take it in a high scoring effect type of game. I'm going to take Buffalo in a fashion where it's going to be. I just got a weird feeling that yes, Josh Allen's going to come out hungry, and this Bills team is going to come out hungry for these playoffs. Everything that they've been through.
You got one more point before I get going. You also have the DeMar Hamlin stuff. There's motivation when this stuff
There is.
happens.
There
You
is.
can't compare his situation, I don't think, to anything else in the sports world has happened. But with injuries, like a Kevin Ware at Louisville, that they made a run. You kept going when there was a tragic, a lot of injuries and all that type of stuff that happens. I think it's just an even more push that was unexpected. Obviously, with all this happened, I think it's going to push them even more, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, I agree in the sports side of it because we mentioned it last time, but shout out to DeMar Hamlin and all of that situation. Everything was handled perfectly to allow him to get the best care that he possibly could. So yes, you're right. That is extra added motivation that the Bills team will have. It's special to see people rise above the sports world and come together, rally together. I love to witness it. Everyone praying for him. It was awesome. It was special. But with the Bills team this weekend, I'm gonna envision a close game, and it's crazy to say that because you look at the situation where the Dolphins are probably going to be down 2 quarterbacks. They're probably going to be down 2 quarterbacks and rolling with Skylar Thompson at quarterback, and you look at that and you're like, there's no way this guy can put up points. But I don't think there's going to be a lot of points put up in this game. And I think everyone else is predicting the complete opposite. I think they're thinking that Buffalo's going to win 2-3 scores and they're going to put up almost 30
Buffalo's
points.
getting healthy on the defensive side too, also. But
Well, that's another thing.
side
Buffalo on top of it throughout the year. You had Vaughn go down. You had Tre'Davious White early in the season go down. So I mean they've had injuries. Jordan Poyer was questionable throughout the season with the elbow. So I mean they've had injuries on the defensive side of the ball. And yeah, they're
Micah Hyde's back practicing also this week, which
they're
is
getting
Hamlin.
healthier.
DeMar Hamlin is playing for him because he got hurt early on. But you get anything else on that?
No, I'm taking the Bills. I mean they're gonna win.
Yeah. No, I just meant on the game. But moving forward, we got the Giants traveling to Minneapolis, playing the Vikings for the middle game on Sunday. This is, I think, my game of the week here. If I got to pick a matchup that I'm kind of looking forward to, because again, both up and down teams, both have stud running backs with Dalvin Cook and Saquon Barkley, respectively, which is a matchup that I want to watch. But it'll be interesting to see how teams utilize them. A lot of these are first time stuff for Brian Dable and Coach O'Connell. I think that's his last name for Minnesota.
Kevin O'Connell, yeah.
Kevin O'Connell. They've all been in big games before. He's played with Buffalo and has done stuff, but this is their first time being NFL head coaches in postseason. That's not. It's a big stage. They're not gonna. They're gonna try and downplay it and been a lot of big games before. When you got to make split decisions, those guys are offensive guys, calling those offensive plays throughout the game. It'll be interesting to see how some of these guys go for some fourth downs and all that. It's going to come down Daniel Jones, Kirk Cousins. We're going to see how Kirk Cousins shows up. I have a weird feeling he is going to play well in this game. I don't know what it is because it's an NFC North thing that I have going on.
Got to root for somebody when your team's not in.
I mean, you take some years. But I also like the Giants in this because I've said this earlier on this year when they beat us, and I said that you were kind of like, I don't know about the Giants. I remember that episode. I remember we talked about that a little bit.
I still don't know.
Yeah, but they're in the playoffs and they're tough. They got Saquon Barkley. I mean, that's what they have, and they have Daniel Jones, which we said before with the Dable offense and all that it works. It's just this could be a really good game because Kirk Cousins, it could really start turning the ball over quick. There's a
Yeah.
lot of quarterbacks like this weekend, which could make some games just a complete wash after we're talking about here. We think we know it's about to happen and all that, but I don't know. I think I'm going to go with the Minnesota Vikings, the NFC North here, because it's a toss up and I got to go with the in division team here. But it's going to be a good game, and it's going to come out Kirk Cousins and Saquon Barkley, I think, are the two big guys to watch on both
I
sides.
I disagree in the sense that I think it's going to come down to Kirk Cousins and Daniel Jones. And I say that because Saquon, yes, he can take over a football game, but the reason I'm saying it's going to come down to Kirk and Jones is for the simple fact that, yes, Kirk, if he gets on a turnover spree, he's on a turnover spree, and it's ugly. Daniel Jones, he hasn't been in this position ever, ever. So you're looking at this with
Yeah,
him
but
being
that's why I'm thinking Dable is going to go through and hand the ball off early and let
you
him get.
want to do that, but
But
what if it's not there?
but you don't know what the Vikings done because they've come out and not handed the ball off to Dalvin Cook for a quarter to start a game off
Yeah.
half this time these years when they've had to come back with these big leads, which I don't. Why would you not? That's just going down a rabbit hole. But keep
No,
going.
I mean, I personally think the Vikings are going to win this football game, and I think this is probably my second most intriguing matchup of the weekend outside of the Jags game, Jags Chargers. I think this is another true wild card game because you've seen Minnesota be hot and you've seen them lose games by a wide margin or games that they shouldn't have
Yeah.
lost. And then the Giants, you saw them start off hot. Then you saw them dip a little bit. So these are two teams that are streaky. These are two teams that can get hot, they can get cold, they can be mediocre. I think it is a true wild card matchup, and I think you're looking at it and you're like, wow, who is the better team in this? And I think obviously on paper you look at it, you say it's probably the Vikings. When you got a guy, Justin Jefferson, probably the best receiver in the game, out 1A, 1B with maybe Tyreek Hill, Devontae Adams, those guys. Jefferson's up there, top three. Hands down, no doubt about it. You got a guy like that, and then you bring in midseason, get TJ Hawkinson. You got KJ Osborne, Dalvin Cook, Alexander Madison right behind him. Kirk. So I also think another intriguing part of this matchup is it's also going to come down to these defenses. Who's going to hold these teams out of the end zone? Because if Minnesota defense, more specifically their run defense, if they can keep Saquon under control, the Giants are screwed.
Yeah.
Because they can't come out and throw the football the way they want to be able to. And they're going to have to utilize Daniel Jones's legs.
And you give any early cushion to Kirk Cousins, he's a totally different quarterback.
100%.
Totally different quarterback.
100%. I still think you look at this game and part of me has wanted to say that the Giants have a shot at it, and I do think they have a shot.
Oh yeah.
But I still think the Vikings come out on top with this game and probably not win another playoff game. Maybe sneak by.
It's 24 points or under the Giants are in the game. It's a lot of these teams. You get 3+ scores on your belt with a lot of these teams that are floating around that 800 or that 500 line, and the last couple wild card seeds. It's a lot of them. You get over 3-4 scores, it's at 3.5. If you can bet, it's a 3.5 line. If you get over that 3.5 or at it, I think you beat a lot of these teams.
No, 1,000%. I'm gonna roll with the Vikings. I ain't got much else to say about it.
So the nightcap for Sunday Night Football is another in-division game with the Ravens going to the Bengals. Again, Lamar Jackson officially ruled out today. A big loss. We kind of knew that was happening. I saw he tweeted out it was a grade 2 PCL sprain, I think. He said it was borderline 3, a lot of inflammation. That's tough. And the type of quarterback Lamar is, I know.
Gotta have the legs.
And you also don't want to turn it into more than a sprain because he's got a bag year coming up, with his off season, regardless if it's the Ravens or somebody else. But we'll focus on that on an off season episode coming up. But with the Bengals, they're tough, and they've gotten the one thing that's going to be a question to see. Obviously, bring up Damar Hamlin again. Is just I saw T. Higgins had a really cool interview today, how he's ready and he's been running good routes and he's fast. The spirit's good with Damar. Obviously resting now and come home for the hospital. That's had a lot of people, something off their shoulders, a good weight off their shoulders. So I think that's going to help with the Bengals and their mindset. They were really gaining ground, I think, and they were going to give the Bills a game. I was really, looking forward to watching that game. But I think Joey B, their experience, they made a Super Bowl run already. It's huge. That's experience with a lot of these young guys that have no other thing. With the LSU guys, they've been to the playoffs. They won a national championship. They come here. This is all they know. It's big games. So I think that's a huge experience. Again, I don't think this is going to be another close game. I have the Bengals rolling in this one pretty smoothly. And I think the Bengals are only getting better. It'll be interesting to see. They've had some time off. Played last week, but we'll see.
So I want to start this off. I've been thinking about this a lot lately. with the Bengals football team because the offensive line, I mean, Gannon, we got to watch them in person.
Yeah.
Obviously, very early on in the season, week 2, watching
Yeah,
them go to
they've had a big shift this season.
major. And I started thinking about it, and two words came to mind, one player, Joe Burrow. And
Dog.
let's just run this back for a second. 2020, the injury happened. Joe Burrow went down. 2021, he came in, took him to the Super Bowl, threw for 34 touchdowns, 14 interceptions. Very solid year. 2022 has his best season throwing 35 touchdowns and 12 interceptions. And let me just check this to make sure I'm correct. Only about 150, 200 yards less throwing than he was last year. So he's had probably, compared to last year, I mean, he's had 2 damn good seasons. He's a top quarterback in the National Football League at this point. In his 3rd year, he's tough. And when you're going up against a team like Baltimore, I think the only way Baltimore can stay in this football game and not let it get out of hand is their defense. Their defense is going to have to show up. You got a guy like Ruckman who you just locked up, 5-year, $100 million deal. That's your cornerstone player now. Marlon Humphrey hasn't allowed a touchdown to a receiver all season. Yeah, you heard it right, all season. So if Baltimore can have their defensive players step up, I think it'll be closer than people think. And I know that when they played last week, didn't they?
Yeah.
So when they played last week, obviously it was a little bit of a closer game. Obviously, you got guys resting, you got guys, a lot of moving parts in Week 18. But I do think ultimately Baltimore loses this football game, and it's very unfortunate because of the Lamar injury. You want to see,
Yeah, it would have been
you want to see these teams at full strength. You do, and you want to see a hell of a matchup, especially because this is the primetime game, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
So
Sunday night football.
It's tough, and I know that there's also an injury with Tyler Huntley, so I don't know what his status is as well.
He's been banged up.
It's the same situation, similar to what the Dolphins are having to go through with these injuries, and it sucks when they happen late in the season and you can't find a quarterback. I saw someone put out something. They said, I wish the Raiders could cut Derek Carr and Derek Carr could sign with the Dolphins or the Ravens right now. And yeah, it's hilarious, but at the same time, it's like, man, these are the playoffs, and you want to see these teams be able to be competitive because they have talent.
It's also, it shows you there's value in a backup quarterback, which a lot of teams don't put emphasis on in the NFL. And some do.
1,000%. But yeah, I'll talk about this matchup a little bit more. I think ultimately it's going to come down to just Burrow out-dueling the third-string quarterback. I mean, or the second string if it's Huntley.
He's just got so much. I mean, they're turning into. I think they have the potential to turn into a mini version of the Chiefs over the next couple of years. Just with the amount of weapons, and Hayden Hurst even this year being a big post or a free agent guy they brought in, he's gone up. I mean, he's a fancy guy. You can start him if you're playing. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was just crazy.
Yeah, I mean, I ultimately think
it's a Burrow effect.
If I'm Baltimore, I'm sending the house, and I'm putting pressure on this offensive line. Because I've seen the way it can fold, and they lost La'el Collins too to injury for the year too. So that was their starting tackle. It's another guy that goes down on an already bad offensive line.
Yeah.
A lot of moving parts there. So if you can bring pressure and force Burrow to make inherent throws, then you got a shot. You got a shot. But you're gonna have to be able to score points, and I don't know if their offense can do that. So my brother's a Ravens fan. So shout out to him. I know it's been tough, man, having to watch Lamar Jackson be out. And same thing happened last year with the injuries, but let's hope and pray Lamar Jackson can make a full and speedy recovery and he can get the money he well deserves. But let's move into the matchup I want to talk about.
Yeah, we might have to. Hopefully, we can get in the time limit on the rest of this video for Bryce's segment.
We got plenty of time.
But for the Monday Night Football portion to end off the wild card weekend, we got the Cowboys traveling to visit the Tampa Bay Bucks in Tampa Bay. So, I'll kind of get going into this because, Bryce, he's already probably knows what he wants to say, but I'll let him, totally get it locked in his head because, he's fired up touching the facial hair right now. He's getting ready to go. But my first thing is Dak Prescott. It's the first thing I'm looking at right here. He has the capability to throw 330, 40, 50 yards with 3-4 touchdowns and shut a lot of people up this weekend. He does. He's got a damn good opportunity against Tom Brady on Monday night, which he's had no postseason success along with the Cowboys in a lot of recent years. So they got a lot of people. That's what I'll say, a 50-50 shot with the Cowboys. They got a lot of people I don't think they're giving him a whole lot of chances in this game. And I think it's not also because they're a Cowboys fan, but it's also because they're going against Tom Brady. And I think that's also the respect that Tom Brady's, have gotten over the years. But I have seen nothing from Tom Brady this year with the Tampa Bay Bucks. I really haven't. And I've seen stuff in and out with the Cowboys for some weeks, and then, I don't know what some other weeks I see from him also. So this is another interesting matchup. But I think it's going to come down to Dak Prescott. Can he, if he does turn the ball over, is it going to be once or twice? Is it going to be 3-4 times? And I think that's going to be the biggest thing because Bryce knows it. It could be a 4-pick game real quick. I said that earlier about a couple of the quarterbacks could have a big picks in a couple of the games, and Dak Prescott's one of those guys. But he's being paid $40 million. This is a prove-it game for him, and he's got to start doing this at some point to be viewed differently outside Cowboys fans' eyes. I'm not talking because Bryce is different because he's a fan. I understand that, but for everybody else out there in the football world, Dak Prescott has to do something to prove to us that he's just not like a middle to a good quarterback, that he is on a top tier that he thinks and a lot of the Cowboys fans think he is. So I think that's my biggest thing coming into this. But I'm still going with the Bucs at the end of the day because it's just not picking a Cowboys win. But we'll go to Bryce.
Sorry, I'm getting frustrated because I'm trying to find this tweet that I read today. But if I can't find it, yeah, okay, we'll forget it. Anyway.
Okay, wait. Before I want to say, I was thinking of this today about this. The over-under. Who's going to have more touchdowns with Mike Will or picks for Dak Prescott? That could be a good bet.
Mike Will?
Or Mike Evans, sorry.
I was about to say, dude, that's twice now you've mentioned Mike Will.
I know, Mike Will. But, yeah, Mike Evans, more touchdowns or Dak Prescott, more picks?
All right, anyway, I'm going to move into my point.
You're not going to answer it. What do you think?
Forget about it. Let me explain the pick narrative right here. All right, this is what the tweet was about. Emmanuel Aiko put a tweet out. Our guy, Jay Tuck, responded to it and put some information out there that really caught my eye. I can't find it right now. But
I remember seeing it, though.
The one guy I did see that was listed on that list, that let me just end this narrative right now, and people that aren't Cowboys fans, you're going to call it bias. It is what it is. Dak Prescott, yes, 15 interceptions. It's become an issue. Yes, it is an issue. He's forcing the ball certain places too much, and I'm not going to say that he's not. Yes, there is also a lot of interceptions that are on his receiving cast who have dropped the football. Let's talk about the Jacksonville one. Noah Brown dropping the ball.
Are we talking about this matchup or the Cowboys whole season recap?
Yes, let me get into my point before we talk about this matchup. Matthew Stafford threw for 17 interceptions last year, was never talked about. Obviously,
we're not talking about. Can we talk about the game?
Yes, I'm gonna get in there.
It has nothing to do with it. But
it does. I just want to end this narrative. There's 17 interceptions.
We're not talking about Dak Prescott narrative. I knew this was going to turn into a rabbit hole.
No, but listen, you brought it up. You brought it up twice on separate.
I didn't bring it up. I'm talking about facts
about interceptions. Yes, I know he's thrown 15, but it's people are on his case more because it's Dak. He plays for the Cowboys and he makes $40 million.
Playing Tampa Bay Monday night at 8:15.
Yes, I'll get into it now. I will get into it now. Dallas, going to Tampa Bay, it's obviously going to be tough. You're heading to a territory that is not at home. It's not on turf. It's grass. And I read a stat the other day. Dallas has struggled on real grass. They've actually struggled on real grass compared to artificial turf or artificial grass, depending on what NFL teams have going on there. But yeah, there was something about the sacks were way down, yards were down. So it's the
defense more that has the numbers going down.
It sounds like it is based off what I read. I can't remember the exact numbers, but I did see the sacks were down immensely. So I think that's something to keep an eye on. It's more notable than you can imagine, actually, because if our defense is not getting pressure and you're allowing Tom Brady to sit in a healthy pocket, his receivers, guys like Mike Evans, Godwin, I'm pretty sure Julio's still healthy. So
for now,
it could get scary, and I'm not gonna lie. I mean,
it's just Tom's been very inconsistent himself throwing the ball, even with people open at times.
Well, the team has been in general, and I personally think Dallas should win this game.
No, on paper, 100%, Dallas needs to go in there and take care.
And obviously, last week you look at the vanilla performance the team put out against Washington, losing the game, just getting flat out embarrassed. Obviously, It was week 18. I'm still going to read into it because we played our starters damn near the whole game.
Yeah.
So you should have buried the team and been able to pull your starters at least by halftime, which you couldn't. So, yes, I'm going to read into it. Don't tell me it's just week 18 because it's not. The struggle has been happening for 4 to 5 games. So now you're entering and you're playing Tom Brady, who you're 0-7 against in his entire career. And on top of it now, Todd Bowles is 2-0 against us. So, yes, it's going to foreign territory. It's going to be tough. I still do think Dallas will win this game. And I think you're going to see a Dak Prescott come in and shut some people up and have a performance where he comes in and throws the hell out of the ball. No interceptions. I'm saying 0. I'm saying 0 interceptions this weekend.
So you're taking Mike Will with more touchdowns?
0,
Or
0,
not
0.
Mike Will, Mike Evans.
This will be the game he doesn't throw one. Dak is going to be locked in, and you're going to see a guy like Micah Parsons locked in. These are two guys who have kind of struggled the last couple weeks. Dak and Micah, your two leading players, you need to show up. They've struggled. I wouldn't say Micah's struggled, but he hasn't been as effective. He's dealing with a lot of injuries right now. The guy's beat
he's
up.
worn out.
He's beat up.
He's worn out.
But like he said in his interview, it's playoff time. I don't feel great, but he said, I'm going to eat. I'm going to show up. I'm going to ball, and I believe him. And then you got I think the biggest issue I'll say is going to be where we can get beat is our pass defense with the DBs losing Jordan Lewis, losing Anthony Brown. You've had guys like Kelvin Joseph, Nashawn Wright, Deron Bland have to step up.
That's where Brady thrives because he knows
that's where he'll thrive.
All he throws the ball to.
And his IQ is so damn high.
He locks in on those backs in there that are rookies and
he'll figure it out.
Inexperienced, and boom.
That's my worry, is because Dallas has been such a running team this year, run first, and which has opened up the pass, especially when Cooper Rush was in. It's opened up the pass. And now you're probably you're not going to have to Dak's not going to have to outduel Brady in this game.
Yeah, no, you're going to have to keep making the effort at the run. But again, we'll see how that goes.
We'll see if the run's here. We go back to the week 1 matchup, and it was pathetic. Obviously, a lot has changed. A lot has happened. I'm going to take Dallas. I'm going to take Dallas in a really close game. I think it's going to be a hard-fought game. I think you'll see both defenses show up and make some plays. I still don't think Dak throws an interception, but I still think there's an opportunity for a fumble or a turnover to happen in some sort of way, because that's where Dallas beats themselves, the turnovers, man. And like I said, I'm taking Dallas. I have to take Dallas, and I have to take them. I want to believe they can do this. They should do it, like you said, on paper.
It comes down to that offense. Can they move the ball? It's not even scoring points so much in some of these games. It's can you flip the field? Can you move? Can you make a team go 80, 90 yards instead of a short field? It's a lot of that little stuff, and it comes down on the offense this time of the year. You go 3 and out, and they get in those grooves a couple times. It kills you.
Yeah. But ultimately, I don't think I have too much other thoughts about it because I know I've rambled for the last couple times we've done these playoff interviews about.
Oh, this was a good one. I like
Dallas. But yeah, for sure. I think we dove into some good stuff, and hopefully, for my sake, Dallas can get a win. So I'm happy next week. Otherwise, them emotions are going to be all over the place for a couple days.
Yeah, I might have to talk you into doing a next week NFL episode.
It might be tough, but all right. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Yeah. Tap into the NFL playoffs this weekend. If you're a young athlete and you want to learn something about these pro athletes, you want to take away something you can utilize in your game, you'll find it this weekend. These are pro guys. They're playoff teams. Tap in and watch them. Study them.
Yeah, watch. Just sit down. Watch them.
Watch some ball. Enjoy it. Get together with family and friends. Have a good time. It's playoff football. It don't get better than this. Enjoy the games this weekend. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Keep tapping in. Keep subscribing, viewing, liking, checking out our sponsors, all that. We appreciate it all. You guys take care, and we'll be back.